Charles Mugane Njongo's life was as remarkable as it was controversial, a career defined by immense power, deep influence, and accusations that ultimately reshaped his legacy. Long before his death at the age of 101, Njonjo had become one of the most polarizing figures in Kenya's post-independence history, admired by some as a brilliant legal mind and condemned by others as an elitist architect of repression. At the center of his downfall was the explosive Traitor affair of 1983, the single most defining controversy of his career. President Daniel Arap Moi publicly warned of a powerful figure allegedly plotting to overthrow the government with the backing of foreign powers. Suspicion soon turned to Njonjo. A judicial probe, the Miller Inquiry, was established and sat for over 100 days. It accused him of abusing his office, undermining the presidency, and even being linked to illegal arms importation and mercenary activity connected to a failed coup attempt in the Seychelles. Though he was never criminally convicted and was later pardoned by Moi, the damage was irreversible. Njonjo was forced out of politics, marking a dramatic fall from grace for a man once considered untouchable. Even before this scandal, Njonjo had attracted criticism for his governing style. As Kenya's first post-independence Attorney General, he was seen as a ruthless legal strategist who helped consolidate power around the presidency. He strongly defended detention without trial, arguing it was necessary for national security, a stance that placed him at odds with civil liberties advocates. Critics also linked his tenure to a culture of suppression, including harsh laws targeting marginalized groups and a broader environment that later became associated with the infamous Nyayo-era torture chambers. His dismissal of young reformist politicians, whom he mockingly dubbed the Seven Bearded Sisters, further painted him as intolerant of dissent. Njonjo's foreign policy positions added another layer of controversy. At a time when many African nations were united against apartheid, he openly supported maintaining ties with South Africa and white minority-ruled Rhodesia. This stance isolated him from mainstream African leadership. Similarly, his covert role in facilitating Israel's use of Nairobi during the 1976 Entebbe raid angered several African states, even as others quietly acknowledged its strategic significance. His personal demeanor only fueled public resentment. Nicknamed the Duke of Kebetisha, Njonjo cultivated an unmistakably British persona, always dressed in pinstripe suits, speaking exclusively in English in formal settings, and openly expressing admiration for British systems. Critics accused him of harboring anti-African sentiments, pointing to statements where he appeared to favor expatriates over African professionals. To supporters, this was discipline and high standards. To detractors, it was elitism bordering on contempt. Yet behind the controversies stood a man shaped by privilege and opportunity from an early age. Born on January 23, 1920, in Kibichiko village in Kikuyu, Kiambu County, Njonjo was the son of Josiah Njonjo, a powerful colonial chief and wealthy landowner who collaborated closely with the British administration. Raised in an affluent household, Charles grew up in an environment that afforded him rare advantages for an African at the time. Stories of him riding to school on horseback, accompanied by a servant, became symbolic of his aristocratic upbringing. His education followed an elite path. He attended Kikuyu CMS Primary School and later Alliance High School before proceeding to King's College Budo in Uganda, often referred to as the Eton of Africa. He then studied at the University of Fort Hare in South Africa, where he earned a degree in English and South African law alongside future African leaders like Nelson Mandela. His academic journey continued in the United Kingdom at the University of Exeter and the London School of Economics before he was called to the bar at Gray's Inn in 1952, becoming one of Kenya's earliest African barristers. Returning to Kenya in the 1950s, Njonjo began his legal career within the colonial administration, rising steadily through positions such as Assistant Registrar General and Crown Counsel in Mombasa. His defining moment came in 1963 when Kenya gained independence and he was appointed the country's first Attorney General. For 17 years, he operated at the very center of power, drafting laws, advising President Jomo Kenyatta, and later playing a decisive role in ensuring a smooth constitutional transition that elevated Daniel Arap Moi to the presidency in 1978. After retiring as Attorney General in 1979, Njonjo entered elective politics, becoming Member of Parliament for Kikuyu constituency and later Minister for Home and Constitutional Affairs. However, this second phase of his career was short-lived, ending abruptly with the Traitor affair. Beyond politics, Njonjo amassed significant wealth and influence in business. Though he often downplayed his fortune, his investments spanned banking, insurance, real estate, and hospitality. He held stakes in major institutions such as Barclays Bank, now ABSA, Standard Bank, and CFC Holdings, and co-owned the upscale Sankara Hotel in Nairobi. His land holdings stretched across Kiambu, Limuru, Naivasha, and beyond, including vast agricultural estates and high-value urban developments in areas like Runda. Despite estimates placing his wealth in the billions, official disclosures after his death suggested only a fraction of this, adding an air of mystery to his financial empire. In his personal life, Njonjo was long known as a confirmed bachelor, famously claiming he was married to his work. That changed in 1972, when, at the age of 52, he married Margaret Bryson, daughter of an Anglican missionary. Their union, reportedly encouraged by President Kenyatta, produced 3 children: Elizabeth Waidimu, Mary Wambui, and Josiah David, all of whom pursued professional careers. In his later years, Njonjo largely retreated from public life, though he occasionally resurfaced in leadership roles such as chairman of the Kenya Wildlife Service Board. He remained a symbol of an earlier era, both revered and criticized in equal measure. On January 2, 2022, Charles Njonjo died peacefully at his home in Muthaiga, Nairobi, after a short illness related to pneumonia. In keeping with his wishes, he was cremated quietly just hours after his death, without public spectacle. His legacy endures as a study in contrasts, a brilliant legal architect and kingmaker who helped shape modern Kenya, yet a deeply controversial figure whose actions and beliefs continue to provoke debate.